prayer to Chukwu Okike Abiyama who resided in heaven. Therefore, as we always commence, not from today, but from of old, our Father who art in heaven, that your name may be hallowed by men, that we may bow at the mention of it, that we may offer every glory unto thee, that we may offer you every adoration and adulation, because there is none like thee. You fight our battles for us. Every blessed day you demonstrate through your kindness and your everlasting mercy that you are our Lord, our God, and our Creator. This evening we offer these your children unto thee. All over this very planet that you created, they are listening across the entire 24 time zones on this very planet where they inhabit. They are listening to your gospel this very evening, this gospel of redemption, a gospel of hope, a gospel of restoration, a gospel of renewal, this very gospel of freedom, this very gospel of emancipation as only you ordained. That this very gospel must be preached, that mankind may be set free from the eternal damnation of the creation of the British. My goodness me, I want to remain in the spirit, because we must worship heaven. We answer your name, O Lord of hosts. Everything about us is designed to offer glory unto thee. We have atoned for our sins last year. This very year we have not only atoned for our sins, we have spilled, we have shed blood, they have shed our blood. We have let our sacrifice be made unto thee. Even on the 30th of August, as we are being felled by the bullets of the enemy, by the workers of iniquity and of darkness, we remain very strong today to beckon upon thee, to ask you for your mercy and for your grace, to ensure that your kingdom is restored upon the face of the earth, that you can bring your healing hand to bear upon the life of those of them that you created for one singular purpose, and that purpose alone, which is to worship you in truth and in every honesty. Is there any way that we have erred? Is there any way that our ancestors may have sinned? We confess before a congregation of the whole of humanity to ask you, O Lord of hosts, to have mercy upon us. You must have mercy upon us. We have suffered enough. We have been subjugated enough. We have been tortured enough. We have been imprisoned enough. We did not do these people anything. Our only crime is to answer your name. Our only crime is to be born your children. Our only crime is to excel at everything that we place our hands into. Our only crime is to exhibit your glory and your blessing, which manifestedly is upon our lives every blessed day. That is why they want to kill us. That is why the British want to join those of them who don't know you to destroy your creation and your inheritance. You will not allow shame to befall your name. You will not allow the enemies to triumph over the lives of your children, because you created us to exist, to worship, to honor, and to praise you. That is exactly what we are going to do when this Biafra comes. It will come in truth and in every honesty, because we remain every blessed day. Chukwuabiama believe they're whiter than white and whiter than snow. Is there any way that we have sinned that you cannot forgive us our trespasses, to enable us to fulfill your own word which was spoken thousands of years ago, that instead of what you promised not to come to pass, that heaven and earth will cease to exist? You opened your mouth to bless mankind to the coming of Yahweh Yeshua, who came here and said, let your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Those words can never be in vain, because they are anchored upon your holiness and your magnificence. That is why in the end we know that Biafra will come, that these children that we have given birth to all over the world, and their children, and their children, and their children, as long as they give birth to them and they are Biafrans, they will worship you in truth and honesty. Through this very work we are doing, mankind will come to understand you. Let your miracle be wrought in our lives. Let us witness and behold your magnificence, your holiness, your mystery, and your grace under our command. O Lord of hosts, we call upon you. We call upon you to heal. We call upon you to provide succor to those of them who are inconsolable. We ask you to come and strengthen those who are weak. We ask you to restore hope where there is hopelessness. We ask you for inclusion where there is destitution. We ask you for one brotherhood, one camaraderie, one bone, one blood, and one flesh of your children. The Efiks and the Bibios, the Izon, the Shekiri, the Isobos, and also those of them from Isoko. We are traveling all the way to the lands of Igala. We are moving on from there to Idoma, to Igede, to the territories of the Igbo land. All these places we dedicate unto thee. All these lands of yours, we ask you to cover it with your mercy. Because Biafra will come, and when it does, we will dance on the streets. I'm telling you, by the time that we are done, humanity will think that we are mad, we are drunk in your glory, and rightfully so, because your kingdom will come to rest upon this very earth. That very kingdom is the unadulterated, non-negotiable sovereignty of the Republic of Biafra, that your will may be fulfilled in our time. All this we pray, all this we ask for, in no other name apart from that name that belongs to you. He said, my name is Namdekano. I am the leader of indigenous people of Biafra all over this very planet, I tell you. I lead indigenous people of Biafra IPOB. So also do I command the armies of Biafra. They are fiercely loyal. They are loyal, I tell you, and doing the work that I expect them to do. I also direct Radio Biafronia Wemna Chineke, not through any power which I possess or any extraordinary knowledge, but by your grace, O Lord. By your grace, Chukwokika Biama.
Yes, sir.
We honor you and we adore you. I know that some people listening, including the British, may not understand what we are doing. But there is nobody in Britain that answers Nwachukwu, the child of heaven. We do. Therefore, when we worship our Father, people should not try to be jealous. They should not feign ignorance or misunderstanding, because we are ancient people. We have been doing this for over 5,000 years, and will continue to do so until the end of time.
Yes, sir. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Depends on your time and your location. As I welcome you this evening, please endeavor to welcome one another. It is very, very imperative as you join, you like, you share the program. I welcome you, Shigozie. I welcome you, Equem Justice. Thank you so much for coming in. I thank you for looking out and also being here. Thank you so much. As you may see, we always have another different message to send to the world to understand that we know who we are and why the ongoing genocide is happening today in Nigeria. And those who are causing this genocide that we are seeing today. And only for one thing is why the genocide is continuing happening. So we are here to let the world know why this genocide is continuing happening and what will be the end of the so-called genocide by Nigeria government and their sponsor, their terrorist gang, and those that they have sent to destroy the indigenous people. That is why we are here to let the world know those that are masterminded genocide, because the creation of Nigeria started with the genocide. The creation of Nigeria started with what? Genocide. The genocide that we are seeing today being taken over by the Nigerian government to massacre the indigenous people was started with the Great Britain, with the evil British. British amalgamated Nigeria through genocide, precisely on the eastern region of the where, from the eastern region, old eastern region, where you find the Igbos and all that surrender, all that made up of Igbos as a country. That is what we want the world to know. Today is the part 3 of the genocide, those that caused it, and why is it continuously happening up to this 21st century is another things that we are going to look at and see how it goes. Why are we going to look at it? That is from where we know who we are. That is also how we change the narrative, because it's in our hand to write our history and also change the narrative of those who never believe, or those who they believe in the ideology of the so-called one Nigeria that today is killing squad. What Nigeria inherited from British was how to buy the indigenous people. The creation of Nigeria started by Britain on their own, eliminating and trying to kill the indigenous people, take off their rights, and by force them to accept the so-called amalgamation. These are what happened, and that is still what we're passing through today. So for this genocide to end, the world, Donald Trump has a job to do. It doesn't matter those that are following the one Nigeria list, what they are saying, what they are thinking, or what they are doing. What matters is that Nigeria must end. And also, the world need to check the foundation of the so-called one Nigeria. If one Nigeria is a country really, or if it's a place for the indigenous people to live. And also they need to find out the interest of having one Nigeria as a country. They must find out the interest of that name calling Nigeria. Why do they have Nigeria as a country? And also, they need to also find out, did the people of the ethnic group that made up of Nigeria, did they agree to answer one Nigeria? They also need to check if there is no oil, no cocoa, and no palm kernel or palm oil, can anyone answer Nigeria by British? You also need to check the foundation of bringing Nigeria as a country. Is it for the betterment of the indigenous people or for the betterment of the what Britain wants and how they want it. Is it for the betterment of the British? These are things that the world need to check. And by finding this out, then you will find out why Nigeria is a killing squad or a dead zone for the indigenous people. Remember that every history tells how it goes. Remember also that the present future of the so-called one Nigeria lies in the past history of Nigeria becoming a country by a man and his girlfriend called Frederick Lugard and Flora. The intention of the High Commissioner of the British to introduce a name called One Nigeria must be questioned. That is why I said, for these killings to stop, for this genocide to stop, the past is where the future lies. The past was a mistake. The mistake is the genocide, the killing of the Christians, that the ongoing killing, the ongoing massacre, the genocide that has happened today is all about the past. If you check the past of Nigeria to become a country in 1960 to 1914 amalgamation, you will find out it's all about killing. It's all about genocide. Remember that before the British, we amalgamated Nigeria as a one country without the presence or the consent of the people living in that geopolitical territory. Then you may find out it's how they did it to Ekumeku warrior, how they must be able to ship equipment to deal and wipe away and destroy the Ekumeku warrior. So Nigeria as a country starts with blood. And now the blood is bleeding. You must end it with all this blood is an evidence to end Nigeria, to prove that you can't continue with a blood system or a blood country. What leads to Nigeria correction? If it is the interest of a white man on behalf of a business enterprise or on behalf of a company he has, that means there is no benefit or nothing good will come out from the indigenous people who live in that so-called tramp or that contraction called One Nigeria. Please, I urge you to like and share the program, please. James Njoko, good evening. You're welcome. Mommy Rose, good evening from here. Priest Son Biafra, good evening from here. You're welcome. Today is the part 3. When you look at the headline properly, what you see here is part 3. British amalgamation. You will see the flag of America and Israel together. That means I am calling them or sending the message to them. British amalgamation of 1914, a mistake that is causing genocide today in Nigeria. That is why you see GIE at the beginning. Part 3, I am letting Israel. I want to inform America to check the past of the history of how Nigeria becomes a country. The way Nigeria becomes a country is the repeating of the history of what is happening today. And I want them to know that we want to bring external problem of Nigeria, not the internal matter of the Biafran people. I am not here for the internal matter, but I am here for the external, for them to know or to remind the world, to bring to the present generation the history of how Nigeria was being created and why Nigeria is a country. So you may see that there is no reason why Nigeria should be a country. the question you may ask, I want the world to know pop and plain, is this: if there is no pan oil, if there is no crude oil, if there is no cocoa, can Nigeria become a country? These are the areas I want the world to look into and find out. If there is no oil, crude oil, if there is no palm oil, if there is no cocoyam, can Nigeria become a country? Is the question that you need to ask. If the interest of creating Nigeria as a country is all about the profits of the gain of the British for them to maintain their business in that contraction called dead zone or the genocide country today. That is why we want the world to look into our matter, to understand that what we are passing through is not just that we are passing through something, but it is about for the world to know that Nigeria is never a country from day one. That Nigeria is not supposed to be a country. The interest of the British must be destroyed. If you destroy the name Nigeria Amalgamation 1914, this ongoing genocide will stop, because before the amalgamation of 1914, people has been living before that time. Before the amalgamation of the British in 1914, people was living a peaceful life, maintain their territory and their border without having clash, without going into brutal war, without going into a genocide that has happened in Biafra land in 1967 to 1970. We are sending this message out that the foundation of the so-called Nigeria must be revisited. And all of us understand that when foundation is not good, that the next thing you will do is to destroy the house, to destroy the entire building. I am asking the world, the genocide that is going on today of the indigenous people who are the Christians that are dying today, is it because of what? Because you will check, why are they dying? Is it because of the Islamic agenda? I want the world to remember how Turkey become Islam today, how Iran today. The same method, the same criteria of the government killing over 3,000 people one day is the same that happening in Biafra land and in Lower Benue. In fact, in the general, that contraction called One Nigeria. That is why we want the world to check out, to look into this matter, for them to understand that the solution to end it up is what the people of United States of Biafra, after our peaceful declaration on November 20, 2024, we have given the world powers, America, Israel power, to look into this matter. The intention of creation of Nigeria as a country, the intention of the amalgamation was not for the betterment of the people, but rather for the betterment and the profit of the Great Britain or British. We want the world to answer us, to look at it. These people has been there and doing the same thing. The only different thing that needed to be done for the world to understand where we are is what? Recognizing the United States of Biafra, for the indigenous people to have their own country, protect their border, guide themselves. Nobody will come to massacre them anymore. But if you continue living Nigeria as a country, Nigeria becomes a threat to all the international global community. Before the 1914, if there is no amalgamation of 1914, nobody will be dying today in Nigeria. Because before the amalgamation, nobody is dying. The amalgamation happened through conquest of the Great Britain to conquer the indigenous people, to by force and bring them together. By that force of bringing people together, it leads to the genocide that could not be able to count between 1910 before we get into 1914 amalgamation. We want the world to know that Nigeria can never work and Nigeria is not a country. On that, we have on our research to prove to the world a direct answer of if there is no crude oil, if there is no palm oil, if there is no cocoa in Nigeria, can anybody answer Nigeria today? That's the question. That is the program we are about to share the thoughts and what the document is all about, so we may understand it clearly. Because there is a reason why people answer Nigeria. You answer Nigeria just because of the interest of a white man. That is why you answer Nigeria. And you may ask, before the 1914 amalgamation, the level of the killings that you are seeing today, is it happening then? Listen to this. The straight answer is no. Before the amalgamation, there was no a singular country or territory simply called Nigeria. There was no a place called Nigeria before the amalgamation. Now the question is, are people living then in the north, in the Northern Nigeria Protectorate? People was living before then, and there is no war. In the Southern Nigeria Protectorate, which included the colony of the Lagos, people are living, nobody is dying. The key factor, the two different countries, not two different countries, it is 4 or 5 countries, that is the pure truth. Because when we go down on this program today, then you will know those who have been existing at territory on the side of democracy, living their own before the so-called amalgamation happens. Two different countries, they were governed as two separate nations. They had a note of they had not a Nigeria in the same political sense as someone in the north. They were subjects of the specific protectorate. The name was a label. The British used the word Nigeria as a geographical label for the region around the Nigeria River, but they did not treat it as one unified place until January 1st, 1914. Indigenous names, the people living there refer to their own sovereign nation, such as the Sokoto Caliphate, the Kingdom of Benin, the Kingdom of the Oyo Empire, or the Biafra territory, rather than the Nigeria. You see how the world look at what we are doing before, and how it is. That is why we are calling Donald Trump to answer us. In short answer, the Nigeria was not today, did not exist as a single map or a single government until the British merged those two separate protectorates in 1914. There was nobody who answers Nigeria. There is nothing like that. You had what is existing then. You have Sokoto Caliphate, you have the Kingdom of Benin, you have Oyo Empire, or the Biafra territory, rather than Nigeria. These are how it is. In this time around, we are visiting all this because of what? We want the world to understand, and look what we are passing through, that this amalgamation is the problem of the ongoing genocide. If you end the amalgamation of one Nigeria, every genocide will stop. A name Nigeria on its own is a genocide. A name Nigeria on its own is a killing squad. A name Nigeria is what? Not supposed to be, because the world can see that Nigeria remains a country of particular concern because of the killing of the indigenous people. So the Biafran people, with every option that we have given to the world, how to end Nigeria, and they rearrange it back. There is no need of lying in documents, and when you know that something is 5 or 4, you claim it to be 2. That is also the problem that people are facing today in that contraction called Nigeria. Let us go into the document and see what we have there. Let us continue, my people. Network, allow me to play documents now. What is the problem? Network, you should allow me to play this out. You should allow me, network.
The short and direct answer is no. The scale and nature of the killings happening in Nigeria today, mass kidnappings, widespread insurgency, and large-scale banditry, did not exist at this level before the 1914 amalgamation. While there was certainly conflict and violence before 1914, it was fundamentally different in scale, cause, and frequency. 1. The scale of casualties. In modern Nigeria, thousands of civilians are killed annually by non-state actors like Boko Haram, ISWAP, and bandits. Before 1914, while there were wars between kingdoms, like the Yoruba civil wars or the Fulani jihads of the 19th century, they were usually organized military campaigns with specific political goals. The indiscriminate mass killing of civilians across the entire geography that we see today is a modern phenomenon. 2. The type of violence. Pre-1914, violence was largely about territorial expansion or resistance to British conquest. For example, the British pacification campaigns in the north, Sokoto, Kano, and the south, Benin, Arochukwu, involved brutal killings, but these were specific events of war rather than a permanent state of daily insecurity. Today, the violence is often asymmetric. Small, hidden groups attack soft targets, schools, markets, and farms. This type of constant, unpredictable terror was not the norm in the pre-colonial era. 3. The role of the amalgamation. Historians often argue that the amalgamation of 1914 actually planted the seeds for the level of killing we see today. Forced unity. By forcing hundreds of different ethnic groups with different religions, laws, and cultures into one country without their consent, the British created a pressure cooker of competition for resources and power. The peaceful declaration versus conflict. Many modern movements argue that if these groups had been allowed to pursue their own paths, like the peaceful declaration model of administrative statehood, the ethnic and religious frictions that caused today's violence might have been avoided. 4. Direct comparison. Feature. Pre-1914 conflict. Modern-day Nigeria killing. Main cause. Kingdom expansion, British conquest. Insurgency, banditry, resource competition. Frequency. Periodic, during specific wars. Constant, daily. Targets. Primarily opposing armies. Primarily innocent civilians. Scope. Localized to specific regions. Nationwide. North, South, and Middle Belt. Summary. While pre-1914 Africa was not a place of total peace, the level of daily, widespread, and senseless killing targeting the general population is far higher today than it was before the British merged the Northern and Southern Protectorates. Many see the modern insecurity as a direct consequence of that forced 1914 merger.
I hope you're listening. I want you to understand it clearly. We want America to see why we continue calling on America and Israel at this stage, at this point, that they are the only option to end this amalgamation. Before the amalgamation, people are not dying. And if you are still doubting it, I will prove to you that nobody is a Nigerian. Nobody is what? Is a Nigerian. Because before the amalgamation, people are living peacefully. And you had it here clearly. Before the amalgamation of the 1914 by British, level of the killings that is happening today in Nigeria, is it happening then? The short direct answer is no. If there is no amalgamation after the amalgamation or before British did the amalgamation by themselves, British have been buying the indigenous people, try to destroy the life of the indigenous people. And today, what are you seeing? The same indigenous people are the same the people are dying today in a large number because of the interest of a white man, because of how British want it and their business to grow up. That is why we are here to send this message out. We want America to listen from the areas that before the amalgamation, that people are living on their own. It's after the amalgamation that you are seeing the genocide, the level of killing that is happening today, despite that there was a killing, there was massacre before the 1914 amalgamation, because British fought totally brutally with the Idu Noba, with the great warriors of Ekumeku warriors. These are what creation of Nigeria from day one started with what? It started with killing. The creation of Nigeria from British started with genocide against the old eastern region, Biafra area in this 21st century. In the 80s and 90s, British was there in 1804, massacring and killing the indigenous people. The same history is repeating today. And the why is escalating? Because it's 21st century. We want the world to check out on the history of the roots, of the grassroots, of the foundation of Nigeria. That the foundation was not in the interest of the indigenous people, was not also interest of the Christians that are dying today. So the only option to stop the killing and the dying of the Christians and the ongoing genocide is by stopping Nigeria as a country. If you, America, Israel, Sweden, Canada, can join hands together, you will end the killings of the indigenous people that is going on today. I don't know if our DPM is alive, is live today on the program. Please, someone confirm for me. But the DPM is handling a program today. Who can confirm from me if the government is on live program, please, on the Zoom? Can someone help me to confirm about that? Can someone help me to confirm if our DPM is on live program today, being the 1st of April? Want to know. So it is very, very imperative at this year we are into that we are sending this message direct to America. We are sending this message direct to the EU. We are sending message direct to the UN and all of them to know that the genocide will not stop unless they stop this enclave called Nigeria that are killing the indigenous people.
The short and direct answer is no. The scale and nature of the killings happening in Nigeria today, mass kidnappings, widespread insurgency, and large-scale banditry, did not exist at this level before the 1914 amalgamation. While there was certainly conflict and violence before 1914, it was fundamentally different in scale, cause, and frequency. 1. The scale of casualties. In modern Nigeria, thousands of civilians are killed annually by non-state actors like Boko Haram, ISWAP, and bandits. Before 1914, while there were wars between kingdoms, like the Yoruba civil wars or the Fulani jihads of the 19th century, they were usually organized military campaigns with specific political goals. The indiscriminate mass killing of civilians across the entire geography that we see today is a modern phenomenon. 2. The type of violence. Pre-1914, violence was largely about territorial expansion or resistance to British conquest. For example, the British pacification campaigns in the north, Sokoto, Kano, and the south, Benin, Arochukwu, involved brutal killings, but these were specific events of war rather than a permanent state of daily insecurity. Today, the violence is often asymmetric. Small, hidden groups attack soft targets, schools, markets, and farms. This type of constant, unpredictable terror was not the norm in the pre-colonial era. 3. The role of the amalgamation. Historians often argue that the amalgamation of 1914 actually planted the seeds for the level of killing we see today. Forced unity, by forcing hundreds of different ethnic groups with different religions, laws, and cultures into one country without their consent, the British created a pressure cooker of competition for resources and power. The peaceful declaration versus conflict. Many modern movements argue that if these groups had been allowed to pursue their own paths, like the peaceful declaration model of administrative statehood, the ethnic and religious frictions that caused today's violence might have been avoided. 4. Direct comparison. Feature. Pre-1914 conflict. Modern-day Nigeria killing. Main cause. Kingdom expansion, British conquest. Insurgency, banditry, resource competition. Frequency. Periodic, during specific wars. Constant, daily. Targets. Primarily opposing armies. Primarily innocent civilians. Scope. Localized to specific regions. Nationwide, North, South, and Middle Belt. Summary. While pre-1914 Africa was not a place of total peace, the level of daily, widespread, and senseless killing targeting the general population is far higher today than it was before the British merged the Northern and Southern Protectorates. Many see the modern insecurity as a direct consequence of that forced 1914 merger.
The 1914 merger is what is causing the genocide. Because it is obvious and truth that before this amalgamation, that people are living peacefully. There is no genocide. The only genocide we have was the one that's being committed by these British. The genocide we have is the only one that was being committed by the same British we are hearing here today. They are the one only committed this genocide. Now, if there is no genocide before the amalgamation of the 1914, now it is pure evidence to all of us understand that there is no genocide unless this time that the British has come to do their shenanigans. That is the only time we are facing genocide today. Now, in this genocide that we are facing through, the question is, who brought genocide to us? It's Britain. If British allow us to remain the way we are, believe you me, the massacre of the over 5 million Biafrans through the genocidal war that happened in 1967 to 1970 could not be there. Till continuity to today. Till today, the genocide see what? Continue. Why is it continue? It is because of the amalgamation. If there is no amalgamation of the 1914, nobody will be dying today. The genocide cannot be there, my people. That is a pure truth. That is why we are calling on the America, we are calling on the Israel to champion this, that the evil, the killing squad called British that handed their killing style to Fulani jihadis that want to Islamize the indigenous people are the reason why you are seeing genocide, and it's not going to end until you end the foundation that was corrupt. Their sons and their grandsons and their granddaughters, they have been what? They have learned how to continue the genocide. That is why today you have those that call city boys that want to continue being in a position of those that are killing their people. We want the world to know that we are not going to stop at this time. Please, 1 minute, we are going to switch over to our DPMs. Today is Passover. Now I remember, and someone has sent me the link. So stay here as I connect to the link so we can be able to move forward. 1 minute. Okay, I think we will continue because they're on the closing prayer. I started the program late, and now I want to join. They are on the closing prayer. I think I will end it here. I will continue my program because of the Passover is, in fact, they are about to do their closing prayer with CCC Okenwa. So let me continue with the program, my people. I think so. I think we have to do that. We continue. Let us continue. So when you are listening to this program, as we continue, then you will find out why the killing is going on and is not going to stop. Nobody is a Nigerian. Nobody, in the first place. And if people remain the way they are before the 1914 amalgamation, you also had it here, America and Israel, that the level of killing, the level of genocide that is going on today was not happening then. The level of the genocide that we are passing through today, the level of genocide that is happening today is not there. The level of the killing, the level of the massacre, the level of the whatever you see, corruption is not in that form. The amalgamation of the 1914 by British, the evil sucking demon British, is what is sucking the blood, what is causing the genocide. That mistake, you know what mistake does? That the mistake of the amalgamation is why people are being paying every blessed day. They will not come and march up to 4 countries or 5 by force together. Because if you go down to the history lane of how everything begins, we will find out that you have many empires. You have the Yorubas, you have the North, the Hausas, you have the Sokoto Caliphate, you have the Igbos. The country divided itself from day one. The country itself did not have the same ideology. If it is not for only the interest of how British will reach themselves and overpower the countries in the world with the enrichment and become the richest country in the world because of the crude oil, palm oil, and the cocoa yam. These are the only 3 things, the cocoa, these are only 3 things people are answer Nigeria. And that is why you are a country. And look at that mistake of that country today. A mistake leads to destruction. The mistake must be corrected in this 21st century, and it is in the hands of Donald Trump, and the Netanyahu, and all the Christian countries to intervene into this matter. Because your silence is giving them power to do more destroy. The silence you are keeping, the mic you muted on, the mic you muted off, refuse to allow the mic to be on, and the mic can only be on when you, Donald Trump, and when you, stop, and not Netanyahu, join hands together and welcome every Christians, whether Judaism or what, together to understand that if you refuse in the side of the Christianity, now looking at what it means to be a country, on the way that Nigeria becomes a country, is not supposed to be done in that form, that manner. The way Nigeria becomes a country is it how others becomes a country? All the countries in the world that was amalgamated has destroyed the artificial border of the amalgamation. How can we destroy the artificial border of amalgamation of 1914? It is only by destroying That's death sentence called One Nigeria that was being manufactured and being opposed by the British. The same way today that they want to oppose this country called Nigeria on us. Through also another oppose is to oppose the Islamic agenda to us, to Islamize every indigenous person who happen to be those are the Christians. We want the world to pay attention to answer us. We want the world to know that keeping this truth is why a pregnant woman died with a child in her womb. And is going to be buried that way with that child. Is it because we are black people? Yes, we are black, but all the European countries are trooping in because of our mineral resources. And those that has this mineral resources has nothing to do with it. Our life, the life of the people becomes in danger because of what God has given to them. And the Israel and America must have to do something. Please, we are begging. It's time to put an end to this death sentence called One Nigeria. It's time to put an end into ongoing genocide that we are seeing today. That is why we are calling on Donald Trump to lead this movement. Now that not just only to lead the movement. The people of Jos, there was a place they belonged before the 1914 amalgamation. The people of the Benue was where they belonged before the 1914 amalgamation. The people of the Plateau State, there was a place they belonged before the 1914 amalgamation. The people of the old Eastern region, Igbos, there was a place they belong. The Yorubas belongs on their own. It's only when we go back to this way that this ongoing genocide will happen, because you have seen that the mistake of the amalgamation is not working. It's continuously repeating the mistake by killing the indigenous people. That is why we are calling, as we are seeing what is happening in the Benue today. When we talk about this ongoing genocide that is going on, we are not hiding it. Let's give the evidence of what we are saying. For 1 minute. Please, 1 minute. Okay. Now let's see that mistake of the 1914. That is why people are dying every day. That is why there is ongoing genocide. And it's not going to stop until the mistake is being corrected. And there is only way out to correct the mistake. It's when people go back to who they were before this amalgamation of the 1914. This is the only way all this genocide will stop. Now, look at what the mistake of the 1914.
We are not at war with anybody. The Hausas, the Yorubas, the Igbos, and any other person that come to Plateau should have it at the back of his mind that he will settle peacefully. A Plateau man has never been known for any act of terrorism. But the Fulani have declared war on us. And it's so unfortunate that some people are falling victim of circumstance. We are calling, sir. Calling on Mr. President and the Executive Governor. Please, sir. Since having security at our domain cannot guarantee our safety, why will it not be relocated to where the bandits are settled? So that we will then know when will they come to attack us. Yes. All these 25 years, we've had security around us. And then our lives are being killed. So let the operation enduring peace, let Operation Enduring Peace move to the Fulanis camp and encircle all those areas so that we will know who then are our killers and we will know what will they do.
This is the mistake of the 1914 amalgamation. That is why you see all these coffees here. That is why you see all these gaskets here. If there is no amalgamation of 1914 called Nigeria, nobody, all this coffee, all these cups will not be here today. All these lifeless bodies will not be here today. How can you correct the mistake, end this thing, and let everybody go back to the way they are before this amalgamation of 1914? Because of the interest of the gain that the British want to achieve. That is why British masterminded killing the indigenous people. They only care for how much they will make and their profit, and also for their company to continue to grow on. That is why the indigenous people are being paid every blessed day. This is the only reason why the indigenous people are being dying every day in, day out. The military and those that are in charge of the country are working hand in hand. The military take order from those that are killing the people. The military also take order from the government because they are the same people. Is it what is happening in Nigeria today? I want to know in a country where it has happened before. On a Palm Sunday, over 50 people was killed. Christians. By who? By Nigerian government Islamization agenda. Using the ISWAP, Lakarawa, Boko Haram. These those they are using, these their agents. They call them the footmen on ground for them. What again do you want to hear? Continuously answering Nigeria because the European Union wants oil, crude oil money, is the worst thing that is happening. You have been taking this money from 1914, lead into the Biafran War, 1970, till 2026, and the over 50 people was paid on one Sunday morning in that region. Was it not enough for you to know that the mistake is coming from the what? From the amalgamation. The interest of the amalgamation of the name Nigeria is only in the favor of the British. It's only by favorable British to continue to enrich themselves and continue to their business of the making oil. Today, the European has joined them to lay a pipe from all the way from southeast Imo State. Now they have passed Morocco, they are heading on. That is the only interest people are answering one Nigeria, and that is why the mistake happens and people are continuously being killed every blessed day. Listen, we have a lot of video to show you, not only document, to see the mistake of 1914.
We are not at war with anybody. The Hausas, the Yorubas, the Igbos, and any other person that come to Plateau.
The Hausas, the Yorubas,
the Igbos, he will settle peacefully.
These are
a Plateau man has never been known for any act of terrorism. But the Fulani have declared war on us. And it's so unfortunate that some people are falling victim of circumstance. We are calling, sir. Calling on Mr. President and the Executive Governor. Please, sir. Since having security at our domain cannot guarantee our safety, why will it not be relocated to where the bandits are settled? So that we will then know when will they come to attack us. Yes. All these 25 years, we've had security around us. And then our lives are being killed. So let the Operation Enduring Peace, Let Operation Enduring Peace move to the Fulani's camp and encircle all those areas so that we will know who then are our killers and we will know what will they do.
I hope, listen to that. 25 years, they are being died. For over 25 years, their people are being dying. They said the mistake that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ebanjoku want to help the world to end this mistake and put it on the right track. That is why Nigeria sentenced him to life imprisonment. That is why Finland, through Alexander Stubb, hold Mas Simon Eba, the Prime Minister. Because of what? They refused to this mistake to be corrected. And because of this mistake has never been corrected for one day, that is why you are seeing these lifeless bodies here. Let's see another video again.
Fulani terrorists are massacring Christians.
Sorry about that.
Fulani terrorists are massacring Christians and also some Muslims across Nigeria. They're taking over land from Christians. Fulani terrorists are massacring Christians and also some Muslims across Nigeria. They're taking over land from Christians. The Nigerian government is doing nothing to stop it. It's not ISIS and Boko Haram that we need to target. It's the Fulani terrorists, the militias from the Fulani people. This is the issue. In Benue, it's not Boko Haram. In Plateau, it's not Boko Haram. In Taraba, it's not primarily Boko Haram. In Kaduna, it's not Boko Haram. It's Fulani that are going and killing and massacring and burning and taking over and kidnapping. And so we need to deal with them. The government is not doing it. They're literally trying to cover it up. They're paying millions to lobby that Nigeria has religious freedom. There's no issues. There's no Christian genocide. Everybody's saying no Christian genocide. Why are we hiding the truth? And who is going to be the one to tell the truth and to fight for the people and the lives of Nigerians? Who?
That is, the truth is what kept Mazen Nnamdi Kanu in life sentence from the hands of the Nigerian government. That is what keeps Simon Eba in 6 years in prison in Finland. And many Biafrans, we only try to give a helping hand to every citizen, to every nation, to every state in that trap that was being held in that contraction called Nigeria. What are we doing? The only way is disintegration of this sucking demon empire called Nigeria as a country. When you end it and the peoples go back to remember that they are the Hausas, that these are Yorubas, that these are the Igbos, that these are the Fulani in the north, only that way the matter ends. Now what happened? The indigenous people will stand in their border and take care of it. So they will know when enemy troop in and they will capture them and send them back like every other country in the world. We want the world to pay attention to the truth, forget politics. The territorial integrity of a country that on a faithful Sunday morning that over 50 million people was being, was being buried for one day, did that place remain territorial integrity? The blood that is following. This blood started in 1804 from the hands of British. And they transformed that method of killing the indigenous people to the hands of those that handed Nigeria over to the jihadists, to the Sultan of Sokoto. These are people that are buying people every blessed day. These are those that are giving instructions how to Islamize the indigenous people. And the only way they can do it is by killing the people. That means that the mistake of 1914 or by British is what is causing the ongoing genocide and all the life and all the corruption and all human treatment today. If you end this, you will see peace. If you end this, the people will have their freedom. In Nigeria, there is no freedom. You only have a death sentence in Nigeria. Look at those that died on Sunday. It's not death sentence. Look at what's happening in Plateau State. Look at what's happening in Biafra and in question. How they use their armor tanker and chasing the Biafra Liberation Army. That's whatever might happen. But look at how people are dying every day. What of Jos? What of Benue? What of Jigawa? What of all these northern areas that are dying? The mistake of the 1914 is why people are dying today. That is why there's genocide. That is why there is intimidation. Because British amalgamated Nigeria by intimidating the indigenous people in their different territories. That's what it is about Nigeria is under gun and under military. No democracy. It is autocracy. There is no democracy in Nigeria. The only thing that we are seeing in Nigeria is what? Autocracy. We want the world to, as we are giving you evidence of this genocide, to pay attention and see this is what it is. The mistake of the 1914 amalgamation called Nigeria.
Fulani terrorists are massacring Christians and also some Muslims across Nigeria. They're taking over land from Christians. The Nigerian government is doing nothing to stop it. It's not ISIS and Boko Haram that we need to target. It's the Fulani terrorists, the militias from the Fulani people. This is the issue. In Benue, it's not Boko Haram. In Plateau, it's not Boko Haram. In Taraba, it's not primarily Boko Haram. In Kaduna, it's not Boko Haram. It's Fulani that are going and killing and massacring and burning and taking over and kidnapping. And so we need to deal with them. The government is not doing it. They're literally trying to cover it up. They're paying millions to lobby that Nigeria has religious freedom. There's no issues. There's no Christian genocide. Everybody's saying no Christian genocide. Why are we hiding the truth? And who is going to be the one to tell the truth and to fight for the people and the lives of Nigerians? Who?
I hope you're saying it. Hey, sorry. This is it. The mistake of 1914. The name called Nigeria is a total mistake. The mistake that are brought tears to the eyes of the Jesus every blessed day. Is it where you want people to live? That is why we are letting the world to know that this mistake of 1914 need to end. Imagine such a look at it every day, and they want to deny it. The only option is what the people of Biafra are giving to the world is the only option. Disintegration, divide Nigeria. Nigeria was already divided before the 1914 amalgamation. The Yorubas on their own. The Igbos are on their own. The North are on their own. The Middle Belt and the Plateau State know what they are doing then. Let them go back to that the same way we are before. Let's end this amalgamation of 1914 and genocide will stop. You have been trying this for past decade. And the same thing continue happening. The only different way will happen is to end it up and give 2-3 years to the people and see how the genocide will end. You are afraid. British, America, Israel, I know that you are not afraid of British at all. The UK. These are the sucking demon. These are the evil. These are those who is causing these pains and these tears, this sorrow, this painful life to the indigenous people every day. Every day in, day out. We give you a written document of it. We are giving you the video of this mistake of 1914. The mistake of 1914 amalgamation is what is causing genocide. We make it to be pop and plain to the world to understand. Let's see more video.
Last year, the Fulani terrorists, they killed the chairman Miyati Allah of Barkiladi. I was challenging the Fulanis. Where is my friend Mohammed, the chairman Miyati Allah of Barkiladi, whom we used to work together? But today, the leadership of Miyati Allah in Plateau State, especially Barkiladi, are members of terrorists because that man sacrificed his life to stop killing, to stop cattle rustling, because he was a blocking block for them not to have access to kill us. So they eliminate him. Their main agenda is after they kill them, yet Allah, they will nail us, blackmail us that it is the Biram that kill him. But they didn't succeed because their own content of creator didn't work on for them. Because there's no, they will link his death with the Biram people. That is why they didn't attack after his death. But the three men, I want the security all over the country to search who are the people that were killed. I just pray they are not friends or relation of the former Miyati Allah chairman that was killed. Because in Fulani areas, if any of them will speak of stop killing, they will kill him.
I hope you are listening. This is a mistake of 1914. The mistake of what? 1914.
Nigeria has not been smarting, they happen for Asu Marabao, not be smarting happen. As Fulani men gather themselves, come they burn people house, they burn people cars, not be smarting, they happen. I beg that they watch this video, make sure say they share video so that Nigerian government go see what they happen for Maraba. Not be smarting, no people now they stranded because they don't burn many people house. So not be smarting, they happen. I beg help me, they share this that they watch so that other people go see them, so that federal government go see. Made them know what they go do for these people.
I hope you heard it clearly. Now they are burning people's houses. The same thing the British did in 1913 before the amalgamation to the old Eastern region people. This is what they did to the Kumek warrior when they decided to destroy them. Burn of houses was being inherited by the British. British introduced this method, and that is how they use the power by force, intimidation to keep and try to keep the indigenous people together, which is not working in anywhere at all. It's not working. The only thing that works in that amalgamation is the killing of the indigenous people that are Christians. The genocide is only what is working. Burn of the houses, chasing them away. Chasing them away from their houses, burn it down. After they have buried them with gun and bullets, they will come back and burn their houses. Mistake of 1914. And that is why the people of Biafra has given the world a very easy option and give you authority to go on and end this. That is why we make our peaceful declaration, real declaration on November the 29th, 2024 to prove to the world that the way we are before the amalgamation is the best. That is the best thing to do. That is the best option. This mistake that is killing people. You know, when you make a mistake in a job, the job is not going to be good. When you make a mistake in exam, you fail your exam. When you make a mistake on the road, you have an accident. When you make a mistake in a building house, the house will collapse. This is what Nigeria is. A mistake by Pharaoh Lugard and girlfriend. Let's give more video.
Nigerians, we are at war. We are at war. Go to my telegram. Go to my telegram and see what Boko Haram did yesterday in Todaynig. Okay. Go to my telegram. If you don't have the link to my telegram, like if you're new on this my page, if you're watching from Facebook, you go to the comment section of this video, you're gonna find the link to my telegram there. Click, it's gonna take you to my telegram. If you're watching from Instagram, you go to my bio, you're gonna find the link to my telegram there. You click, it's gonna take you to my telegram. Go and see what Boko Haram did in Todaynig. Remember I told you yesterday night how these guys came around 6 p.m. and started shooting at Nigerians. Yesterday I told you how we have recovered 5 bodies, right? This morning they have recovered 10 bodies have been recovered. Still searching for more because the life that we are lost yesterday, according to report, is close to 20. Close to 20. So right now, this morning, 10 bodies have been found. Yesterday night, they found 5 plus other 5 found. 10 other bodies are expected to be found because the people that are missing are more than 20. So guys, Nigeria is bleeding. Todaynig is bleeding. Rukuba is bleeding. Kwara State is bleeding. Nigeria have never been this worst. Nigeria have never been this worst. Go get arms and protect yourself right now. I say it. I said it again. Go and protect, buy arms. Protect yourself, especially those of you staying in this north. The federal government of bandits are not ready to protect you. They are not ready to protect you. In fact, these people are the main sponsors of this buying that is going on in Nigeria right now. Nigeria is bleeding. Todaynig is bleeding. Rukuba is bleeding. Kwara State is bleeding. Nigeria, enough is enough. Go get arms.
The more you leave this mistake called Nigeria, the more is you. The problem is that you don't know the solution of what was happening to you. The Biafran people under United States of Biafra we are declared, we have found the solution. The solution is to stop mentioning this name called Nigeria. It is a mistake. The mistake is continuously going, and the mistake is continuously killing people more and more. It cannot be fixed. It's beyond you to fix. The only thing is to end it up. The only thing is to end this impunity. The only thing is to end Nigeria. By ending Nigeria, the people you are calling their names, their places, we have the power to bear that gun. If they bear that gun, Nigerian government will arrest them and charge them terrorists. Nigerian government will charge them violence group. They are not, you know the country you are mentioning. The only solution that the world refuses to accept and try is disintegration. To use bulldozer to bulldoze this foundation called Nigeria. It's not working, and it can never work because it was being created by a mistake.
Yourself, bro. Just sit down and allow these people to be buying you. Go get arms. Protect yourself. Yesterday it was Borno State. Day before yesterday it was Jos.
Okay.
Rukuba. The other day it was Kaduna. The other day it was Kwara State. The other day, don't think that it will not come to your state. Or it is going to get to your state. The way it is going, it is going to get there.
Come to
don't think it is coming.
No matter what happens, because you are
prepared. Buy arms and protect yourself. Enough
we have prepared.
We have to come unite as one. And give these people the way they want it. You know the story, guys. You know the story. As then they hide them, the English Alhaji, they bring them out. I they active. I they fully active. You know I can't live here without telling the federal government of bandits. Fusek, full time. Nigerians, go get arms. Protect yourself. If you are living in Nigeria right now. Go get arms and protect yourself. Don't be play, oh. Don't be play. Don't think it's not gonna get to you. It is coming. It is coming.
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, this is why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in life sentence prison. This is only the reason why. If not for this, there's no way he's going to be there. The only reason why he is in prison is because of this that happening today. We want the world to understand that a mistake by High Commissioner, the governor, and the Federal Guard is what is killing the people. Until they end this thing, that the mistake of Federal Guard, the mistake of British, the mistake of UK, once it's been ending, that is only how all this will stop. And the indigenous people who are the Christians, we protect their land and their lives. The Islamization agenda is fast approaching. They are on the out of the 6th phase it has. They are on the 4th phase in 2026. By 2027, they will be in the 5th phase of it. Then tell what will happen. That is, you are seeing a child's play. That means that what happened now, what is happening in 2026 is a child's play to compare to what is coming in 2027. They want to firstly use Tinubu to capture now we have Muslim, now you have Muslim ticket. This is how Turkey started and where they are today. This is how Iran started and see where they are today. That is why we are calling the British, that is why we are calling the United States of America to do the needful. Let the congressmen see what is happening and find out that only solution is to end it up. Break Nigeria into pieces. Let people manage themselves they are. And those that are being dying every day are the peaceful people. Those who believe in peace. That is why they are dying. They are paying ultimate price for peace. And they are not getting it. And when you think, when you give them their own country, when you divide Nigeria, then they will have their peace and give the world peace. That is why we are calling the world to see what is happening. Again, before I go into the document again. I hope the world is seeing what is causing it. The mistake of 1914 that must end. Once it ends, the people has their freedom. Once it ends, you win such a thing again. Every day mass burial. Now, the government want to run away from the mass burial. They want to run away from what? From mass burial. Because the world is seeing what is happening. Building houses and supporting them is not the solution. The solution is to allow them to have their own government, their own country, and they will control themselves. This is what we are doing now is penny wise, pound foolish. What we are doing, building, supporting them without having them their country, for them to be being protected by the government. The houses we are building, the schools we are building is what? Medicine after death. You are bringing the medicine after what? After death. All this your effort without understanding what the people want and how it can end, and you can also rest. And also when you build these houses, it will be permanent. Do you know if in the next 6 months they will burn down and destroy what you are building? That is why I told you here that this is what? Medicine after death, my friend.
If something happens in Yawata after this rebuilding, the government is liable. The blood is on your hands. We've come in good faith, with good heart, to help the people, to rebuild where nobody is helping. But you are responsible to secure your own people. And there's security here now, but we can't see that they leave in 1 month or 2 months. I can't come back and see that Yawata has been burned and killed again. If it happens, You are liable. It is your job to protect them. And so I challenge you, I beg you, do your job. Protect your own people. The U.S. government knows what has been done here. They know the attack. They know that I am here. They know that we have rebuilt Yawara, and they support me. Congressman Riley Moore, he supports what we're doing. He knows. He has the geographical coordinates of Yawara. And we are all monitoring what is happening here. So please, protect your people. Do not let anything happen to Yawara again. Thank you.
The worst is going to happen. That's why I said building this house for them with their life not being guaranteed, not being protected is wasting time. What you are doing here is medicine after death. Who is going to protect them for them to live here? The place you build, they have come and destroyed it. That is why we want the world to understand that the disintegration of Nigeria is the only option. This is to correct the mistake of 1914. The amalgamation is what is causing the genocide. This genocide that's happening today is being caused by British, by Charles and his family hold, and the entire UK are the one, in the blood is in their hand and in their head. They are causing it. The amalgamation of holding Nigeria, the so fucking demon territorial integrity is the problem. It must end this the so-called territorial integrity that are wasting the blood of the indigenous people. You must end it up. 1914 amalgamation is why people are dying. The name Nigeria is why people are being killed every day. That is why that's why they are burning houses, taking people away, because the name Nigeria in the question or in the answer is just representing Islamization agenda. The name Nigeria is Islamization agenda. That is what the name of Nigeria is. Look at them, they are happy. Look at them here. They are what?
Nigerians.
Look
they
at
don't supply
them
this
here.
people bike. See, and chala.
New
Help
bike.
me to share this video.
They kill.
Help me to
they
share
get
this with
bike.
that bike. I don't know why I know they
They
share my
kill,
videos. Muna share
they
this
get
video.
new
They
bike.
don't
See
supply
it
the
here,
chala
see it
bike.
here.
Help me
The
share
new
this and
bike.
follow this page for more.
For
They
them
don't
to do
supply the
what?
new
To
chala
continue
bike.
to kill the indigenous people. That is why they're giving them the bike. That is why. That is why people are dying every blessed day. It's not about this. It is about they doing the right thing. You are doing the right thing at the wrong time. Building these houses for them at this stage of genocide is wasting
A lot of
resources.
people have given Ezekiel hate for saying that Allah is a bloodsucker. But what I want to ask is, what does the Quran and the Hadith teach? I will not say Allah is a bloodsucker, but I will preach and tell you what the Quran says. Surah 9:29. It says, fight those who disbelieve in Allah. In the Hadith, it says that the greatest form of jihad is religious fighting. So when Fulani come into the village and they chant Allahu Akbar, and they kill your families, it should not be a surprise. When Muslims are commanded to fight those who disbelieve, it's no surprise they seek you. Was this boy a Muslim? Was this boy a Muslim? Have any of the people here been Muslims that have been killed? So why is it that they're only killing Christians? Are they clashing with you?
Because
is this
of
just
the
a
name
clash between
Nigeria
farmers and herders?
Islamization.
Where are your AK-47s? Are you clashing with the Fulani? You're being innocently slaughtered. And the ones who are in charge of protecting your life are not doing it. Even Christian leaders, they will say that, oh, I can't talk about the government because it's political. Since when is death and life a political issue? Since when is saying that you have the right to live a political and governmental issue? If you don't have the right to breathe, what right do you have? What good is a road? What good is a borehole when you can't even live to see it?
I hope you are seeing it. Now, we have given the world the video, what is happening. We are now going to give them the audio of the so-called Nigeria. There is, if you believe in one Nigeria, you are digging your grave. If you believe in one Nigeria, you are only doing what? Digging your grave. That's what you are doing. Is anybody a Nigerian? If there is no oil, palm kernel, can anybody answer Nigeria? If there is no crude oil, palm oil, if there is no cocoa, can anybody answer Nigeria today? We need to end this company called Nigeria of the UK. The mistake of the 1914 amalgamation is why there is genocide, there is corruption, there is ongoing killings every day, day in, day out. We must continue. Let us find out if there is no oil, crude oil, palm oil, and the cocoa, if anybody will answer Nigeria. And also, before the amalgamation, people are there living. Before the amalgamation of 1914 by British, the level of killing that is happening today in Nigeria, is it happening then? The answer is no. You have seen the killings, you have seen the videos, you have seen the evidence. Now, listen to this.
The short and direct answer is no. The scale and nature of the killings happening in Nigeria today, mass kidnappings, widespread insurgency, and large-scale banditry, did not exist at this level before the 1914 amalgamation. While there was certainly conflict and violence before 1914, it was fundamentally different in scale, cause, and frequency. 1. The scale of casualties. In modern Nigeria, thousands of civilians are killed annually by non-state actors like Boko Haram, ISWAP, and bandits. Before 1914, while there were wars between kingdoms, like the Yoruba civil wars or the Fulani jihads of the 19th century, they were usually organized military campaigns with specific political goals. The indiscriminate mass killing of civilians across the entire geography that we see today is a modern phenomenon. 2. The type of violence. Pre-1914, violence was largely about territorial expansion or resistance to British conquest. For example, the British pacification campaigns in the north, Sokoto, Kano, and the south, Benin, Arochukwu, involved brutal killings, but these were specific events of war rather than a permanent state of daily insecurity. Today, the violence is often asymmetric. Small, hidden groups attack soft targets, schools, markets, and farms. This type of constant, unpredictable terror was not the norm in the pre-colonial era. 3. The role of the amalgamation. Historians often argue that the amalgamation of 1914 actually planted the seeds for the level of killing we see today. Forced unity. By forcing hundreds of different ethnic groups with different religions, laws, and cultures into one country without their consent, the British created a pressure cooker of competition for resources and power. The peaceful declaration versus conflict. Many modern movements argue that if these groups had been allowed to pursue their own paths, like the peaceful declaration model of administrative statehood, the ethnic and religious frictions that caused today's violence might have been avoided. 4. Direct comparison. Feature. Pre-1914 conflict. Modern-day Nigeria killing. Main cause. Kingdom expansion, British conquest. Insurgency, banditry, resource competition. Frequency. Periodic, during specific wars. Constant, daily. Targets. Primarily opposing armies. Primarily innocent civilians. Scope. Localized to specific regions. Nationwide. North, South, and Middle Belt. Summary. While pre-1914 Africa was not a place of total peace, the level of daily, widespread, and senseless killing targeting the general population is far higher today than it was before the British merged the Northern and Southern Protectorates. Many see the modern insecurity as a direct consequence of that forced 1914 merger.
I hope I have let the world understand it clearly. Why people are dying every blessed day? There is nothing to stop it unless this foundation, unless this building called Nigeria, unless this company stop. If this company cannot be able to stop, people will be dying every until to the level of the Islamization. Now, the next article, despite putting the different ethnic group together with different ideology till today, that were the forefathers of Nigeria said that British has tried from 1914 to manage if it's his work, that is not working. All the evidence of not working is all that you are seeing today happening is pure evidence. Why is he not working? How else again that the world think that this will work? How else again? The next section is, if there is no oil, if there is no crude oil, palm oil, and the cocoa, can amalgamation of 1914 happen? If there is no crude oil, if there is no palm oil, if there is no cocoa, can this amalgamation happen? Let us find out if it can happen. If there is no these things, we'll find out right now. One minute. The network is holding the audio voice.
The straight answer is no. Without those specific commodities, the amalgamation of 1914 would not have happened. The British did not merge the North and the South for the sake of nation building or shared culture. It was a purely financial and administrative merger designed to solve a British accounting problem. 1. The budget gap reason. Before 1914, the Northern Nigeria Protectorate was a deficit territory. It was landlocked and expensive to govern, and it cost the British Treasury in London a lot of money every year in subsidies, grants and aid. The South was a surplus territory because of the massive customs duties collected on palm oil and cocoa. The British Colonial Office wanted to stop spending British taxpayers' money on the North. By merging the two, they could use the surplus from the South to pay for the deficit in the North. No oil, cocoa, palm oil equals no surplus. Without that money, the British would have had no pot of gold in the South to fund the North. 2. The railway logic. The British were building a massive railway system to evacuate cotton and groundnuts, peanuts, from the North to the sea. Building railways is incredibly expensive. The revenue from palm oil and cocoa trade in the South provided the financial security, collateral, needed to fund this infrastructure. If there were no resources to transport and no money to pay for the tracks, the British would have had no reason to physically or administratively link the two regions. 3. The corporation model. At the time, the British viewed their colonies like a business. Northern Nigeria was a massive territory with a large population but low liquid revenue. Southern Nigeria was a smaller territory with a coastline and high-value exports. Amalgamation was essentially a hostile corporate merger to balance the books. If the southern branch of the company had no profitable products like palm oil or cocoa, the head office in London would never have authorized the merger. What would have happened instead? If those resources did not exist, the British likely would have abandoned the North or left it as a series of loosely protected but independent emirates. The South might have remained a collection of small coastal trading colonies, similar to how Sierra Leone or the Gambia started. The map of West Africa would today consist of several smaller, sovereign nations instead of one large, Nigeria. Summary: the amalgamation was driven by greed and accounting. Without the wealth generated by palm oil and cocoa, and later the prospect of petroleum oil, there was no business case for the British to create Nigeria. The country was unified to make it self-financing for the British Empire, not to benefit the people living there.
I hope you had it clearly. Why you are answering Nigeria? For you to found what? The British. For them to be a better country and take care of their own citizens. That is why you answer Nigeria. That is why. The amalgamation was divided by the agreed that on the accounting, without the wealth generated by the palm oil and the cocoa and later the prospect of the crude oil, there was no business case for the British to create Nigeria. If there is no palm kernel, if there is no palm oil, if there is no cocoa, if there is no crude oil, there is no intention to create Nigeria. They only create Nigeria for them to see a way to make money. That is why people are dying today. That is why the mistake of 1914 is why people are being killed every blessed day. That is why people are being dying every blessed day. So now you had it clearly from here that the only thing that made you to have Nigeria, that today are killing the indigenous people, is because of what? Crude oil, palm oil, and the cocoa. These only three things. The interest of British, not the interest, the life that would benefit the indigenous people that are dying today. If they are because of them, nobody will be dying today in this large number that you are seeing on this video I showed you here. Because of what? The interest of a white man. The country was unified to make it self-functioning for the British Empire, not to the benefit the people living there. What are you benefiting in Nigeria as a country? The only thing you benefit is die. They'll come and buy you, they will kill you, sentence you to life imprisonment. Intimidation, harassment for the military. The military of Nigeria working to keep the interests of British. The military of Nigeria working to protect the only what? The financing for the British Empire, not to the benefit the people living in the area, in the territory, in that country called Nigeria, not for the benefit. That is why they choose president for you. That is why they choose who will be in position. That is why we are putting America, Israel, their flag here. Not to insult you, but only to let you listen to us and see the solution. You might know it, but this is a time. Now we are bringing it out to you. Why you must end Nigeria. Why Nigeria disintegration is only option for the benefit of the indigenous people. The British up to today still claim the owner of our territory, of the land. They are the one, and their children and their daughters are the one benefiting. Why the indigenous people are not benefiting? Because it says here, the country was unified to make it self-functioning for the British Empire, not the benefit of the people living there. That is why we, the Biafran people, under United States of Biafra, has understanding, and that is why we move away. That is why we make our peaceful declaration. That is why we made a peaceful declaration to give America power, to give Israel power, to give Sweden, to give Norway, to give Canada, to give all of you power to end it up. Only Biafra moving will end genocide. Because others will follow. What is happening in Nigeria is that the Biafra movement is like when America moves, other countries follows. So once Biafran exit, you will see Yoruba will exit. You will see the people of the Hausas will exit, and the caliphate on what they have been doing between 1804, they will continue living that life and leave us alone. The Biafran people, totally, we have researched and understand that this country is this thing called Nigeria is a mistake. Nobody is a Nigerian like the West, like the English, like the France. Nobody. We are calling all the well-meaningful world to look at the history of Nigeria, to check it. To check and find out. Please, as you join me, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button and put your comments. That is why we have understand that the only option is what? I am a citizen of United States of Biafra. Please, son Biafra, thank you so much. Biafran son, thank you so much. This is only option. And we have given it through legal to the world. You said that a declaration or the declaration of a new country through a document that been signed by the indigenous people is a legal means to give you power to come sit. We have given you that power, America. We have given you that power that you give to the people of Morocco to recognize you. We have also give you the power, Israel, when the declaration that you made that make the country in Asia, Bahrain, give them power to recognize you as a country. Many of you in the world, there is people that after your declaration, because of the legal document, that is why they recognize you, and today you are a full country. Protect your citizens. And you build the country because of the interest of the citizens. Not this mistake 1940 amalgamation called Nigeria that was not built with the interest of the people. That is why we are calling, that is why we are hearing our voice. That is why we want the world to know what we are passing through. That is why we want the world to know the killings of that mistake called Nigeria today. The United States of Biafra give you a legal means that nobody in Nigeria can win you at all. If you are afraid before because IPOB, we are no longer in IPOB. We are in the United States of Biafra government in exile. That's like every other country that has done in the past. The time is fast approaching. And the Fulani jihadists with discrimination is working very hard. That is why the people of US is working very hard for us not to die again, for us also to build a country for the interest of our own people, not the interest of these so-called British. Listen again.
The straight answer is no. Without those specific commodities, the amalgamation of 1914 would not have happened. The British did not merge the North and the South for the sake of nation building or shared culture. It was a purely financial and administrative merger designed to solve a British accounting problem. One, the budget.
Being created, designed to solve the British problem, not to solve your problem. Is being created to what? To solve the British problem. The straight answer is no. Without the specific commodities, the amalgamation of the 1940 would not have happened. The British did not merge the North and the South for the sake of the nation building or sharing a culture. It was purely finance and administrative merger designed to solve a British accounting problem. That is why you are dying today. And you are still calling them to come. You are being buried every day. You are being killed because of what? Because you agree to accept to solve the problem of the British. That is why. That is why you are dying. But we, the people of United States of Biafra, has said no to that. And this is what Chukwuemeka Odumegwu saw in 1967. If Biafra was a country in 1957, Oduduwa could have been a country today and protect their border. The people of Benue, the people of Plateau, all this, the Hausas will have their country and nobody should come and kill them. That is the truth. That is the pure truth. The truth that Chukwuemeka Odumegwu indicate to the world that the world shied away from is what is also causing the genocide of all right around Nigeria today. Everywhere is bleeding. Everywhere is blood of the innocent one, including a pregnant woman being murdered with a child in her womb. Where is happening in the world? A mistake country. A mistake creation. The same way God regretted why he created human being. Today, the people are regretting why they accepted one Nigeria second. They did not accept by gone through the British by force, sign it in London and bring it back and said, put it on them with the military of Nigeria. That is why people answer Nigeria today. Not for the interests of the people, not for the betterment of the people, but for what? For the so-called British. For the so-called caliphate. That is what is happening. People are dying. The Broadgate Gap reason. Before the 1914, the North was a dephastic territory. It was landlocked. This North that are making noise today. This North that are controlling everyone today. And expensive to govern. And it cost the British treasure in London a lot of money every year in subduing to for them to govern themselves. What happened? The final is very difficult. That these people are very lazy people. The only way they are not lazy people of the North is to when it's come to the kill with gun and bullet. That is only when they are not lazy. The South was superb territory because of the massive customer duties collected on the palm oil and cocoa. You see? Do you see the interest of creating one Nigeria? This is why the North, the Eastern region are nothing. The West, the South. Why are we suffering? Why people have been dying today is for the interest of the British to make sure that the killers that we are seeing today, they handed Nigeria over to is continue to kill the people. The indirect rule of British. Till today, that is why power remains in the North. That is why they build capital in the North. That is why they shift away from the Lagos to the northern area. For their interest of the economy to be solved by the palm oil and cocoa. That was the first that was being detected. The first thing that was detected is what? The palm oil and the cocoa. These are the first thing. These are the first two things that gives money that British saw and come down to kill the indigenous people in area we see as the Biafran territory today. And it happened. And today, look at where we are. You must continue. The British colonial officer wanted to stop spreading British taxpayer money on the North. You see, that the money that their people are paying, they want to stop spending it in the North. What happened? How do they do that? By by managing this, by merging these two, they could use the supply from the south to pay for the the business. No, sorry. By merging these two, they could use the supply from the south to pay the deficits in the north. To solve the problem of the north, they need to merge together so they can stop paying on their personal interests, and they can also make their money. The only option for them to do it is to what? To emerge all the ethnic group up. No oil, no cocoa, no palm oil, no supply. Without that money, the British would have had no point on gold in the south to fund the north. Do you see why today Asset of War is a security guy, pipe guy, and he's happy over it? Do you see why Tompolo is also doing what they are doing? The British take over what belongs to them, hand it over to the north. The gold in the north is for the north. The oil in the old eastern region is for all Nigerians, only for the north also. Because the intention was being made clear here. They made their intention clear that the only thing that they want this country to be together called Nigeria is because of what? Oil. That's what they said here. If there is no oil, no crude oil, no cocoa, no palm oil, the British has no interest to emerge Nigeria as a country. They lied. They want to build a railway. Where's that railway today? They want to build a railway from north to the London. Not for us. Not for the indigenous people. The British were building a massive railway system to counter customs and they continue to suppress the people. From the north to the sea, building railway is incredibly expensive. The revenue from palm oil and cocoa trend in the south provide the financial security collective needed for fund in the treasure. In the infrastructure. If there were no resource to transport and no money to pay for the truck, the British would have no reason to physical administrative link to the two regions, because they have seen and they know that people of the southeast, the people of the south, would not allow them to be controlled by the British. What happened? They know that if they control the north and give them the power, then they will use them to control all of you today. That is why you are doing like Dundee today. That is why you were Dundee. That is why you don't reason. Let's listen again.
Budget gap. Reason. Before 1914, the Northern Nigeria Protectorate was a deficit territory. It was landlocked and expensive to govern, and it cost the British Treasury in London a lot of money every year in subsidies, grants and aid. The South was a surplus territory because of the massive customs duties collected on palm oil and cocoa. The British Colonial Office wanted to stop spending British taxpayers' money on the North. By merging the two, they could use the surplus from the South to pay for the deficit in the North. No oil, cocoa, palm oil equals no surplus. Without that money, the British would have had no pot of gold in the South to fund the North. 2. The railway logic. The British were building a massive railway system to evacuate cotton and groundnuts, peanuts, from the north to the sea. Building railways is incredibly expensive. The revenue from palm oil and cocoa trade in the South provided the financial security, collateral, needed to fund this infrastructure. If there were no resources to transport and no money to pay for the tracks, the British would have had no reason to physically or administratively link the two regions. 3. The corporation model. At the time, the British viewed their colonies like a business. Northern Nigeria was a massive territory with a large population but low liquid revenue. Southern Nigeria was a smaller territory with a coastline and high-value exports. Amalgamation was essentially a hostile corporate merger to balance the books. If the southern branch of the company had no profitable products like palm oil or cocoa, the head office in London would never have authorized the merger. What would have happened instead? If those resources did not exist, the British likely would have abandoned the North or left it as a series of loosely protected but independent emirates. The South might have remained a collection of small coastal trading colonies, similar to how Sierra Leone or the Gambia started. The map of West Africa would today consist of several smaller, sovereign nations instead of one large Nigeria. Summary: the amalgamation was driven by greed and accounting. Without the wealth generated by palm oil and cocoa.
By greed of accounting. That is only why you answer Nigeria. And that greed is what is killed. That is why it's a mistake country. That is why the mistake of the 1914 is why people are dying today.
And later the prospect of petroleum oil, there was no business case for the British to create Nigeria. The country was unified to make it self-financing for the British Empire, not to benefit the people living there.
In every of the documents, what you hear is not for the benefit of you as a Nigerian. It's only for the, and you had it here, that if there is no palm oil, no cocoa, no crude oil, that British has no interest to sign that amalgamation in London, 1914. If not for this, their interest, they could not be able to sign it. Now, who are those that are suffering? Let us go to the last section of this program today. We want to know which area, which ethnic group has palm oil, and which ethnic group has crude oil, and which ethnic group have cocoa before that leads to the amalgamation. Let us find out. We'll find out those who has it. Listen.
The straight answer is that the southern ethnic groups held the wealth that the British needed to fund the northern administration.
We have it.
While petroleum oil was not being exported yet in 1914, it was discovered later in 1956. The British already knew the region was rich in resources. The primary wealth that drove the amalgamation was palm oil. 1. The ethnic groups with palm oil, the surplus wealth. Before 1914, the British Southern Nigeria Protectorate was wealthy because of the oil rivers. The ethnic groups in this region were the economic engine of the colonial project. The Igbo people occupied the heart of the palm oil belt. They produced the majority of the palm oil and kernels that the British exported to Europe for soap and machinery lubricant. The Efik and Ibibio peoples controlled the key coastal trading ports, like Calabar, through which palm oil was shipped. The Itsekiri and Yoruba peoples managed the palm oil trade routes in the western Niger Delta. The Yoruba people produced significant amounts of palm oil and cocoa, particularly in the western region, which provided massive customs duties for the British. The British goal: use the tax money from these southern groups to pay for the deficit debts of the Northern Protectorate. 2. The ethnic groups with petroleum oil, the future wealth. While the 1914 amalgamation was technically funded by palm oil, the British colonial surveys, like those by the Mineral Survey of Southern Nigeria, had already identified the potential for mineral wealth in the south. The groups sitting on what would become Nigeria's petroleum belt include: the Ija people occupy the vast majority of the wet, oil-rich lands of the Niger Delta. The Ogoni people, located in the rivers area, sitting on massive oil reserves. The Igbo people, southern groups, particularly in areas like Imo and Abia, which contain significant oil and gas deposits. The Isoko and Edo peoples, also located in the oil-producing belt of the South-South. 3. The ethnic groups in the north, the deficit region. In 1914, the Hausa, Fulani, and Kanuri peoples of the north had a large, organized society, the Sokoto Caliphate and Borno Empire, but they did not have a coastline to collect customs duties. They produced ground nuts, peanuts, and cotton, but the cost of transporting these goods to the sea was higher than the profit they made. Because the North was bankrupt in the eyes of the British Treasury, the British merged them with the South so the Southern palm oil money could build northern roads and railways. Summary table. Who had what in 1914? Region. Major ethnic groups. Key resource. 1914. Financial status. Southeast. Igbo, Efik, Ibibio. Palm oil. High surplus. South-South. Ija, Itsekari, Yoruba. Palm oil. Future petroleum. High surplus. Southwest. Yoruba, Edo. Cocoa, palm oil. High surplus. North. Hausa, Fulani, Kanuri. Ground nuts, cotton. Heavy deficit. The bottom line. The British merged the country because the Igbo, Yoruba, Ija, and Efik lands were making a lot of money from palm oil, and the British didn't want to keep using London's money to run the Northern Territories. The amalgamation was a way to subsidize the North using Southern resources.
I hope you followed. For those who are telling us here, Igbo does not have oil, they don't do this. Do you see? Because we want to narrow it down. We will continue on this path because that is when the world will know why the Biafran people decide why we opt out from Nigeria, why we exit Nigeria. When you listen to this, how do you feel? Listen again. The areas that we have everything. Not we are seeing today. Those Fulanis and those jihadis has nothing. And they are the one that's indirect rule of British handed over for them to continue making the people and continue this mistake of the genocide that is still going on till today. A lot is under. A lot need to bring out. Honestly, a lot. A lot. Listen again.
The straight answer is that the Southern ethnic groups held the wealth that the British needed to fund the Northern administration. While petroleum oil was not being exported yet in 1914, it was discovered later in 1956. The British already knew the region was rich in resources. The primary wealth that drove the amalgamation was palm oil. 1. The ethnic groups with palm oil, the surplus wealth. Before 1914, the British Southern Nigeria Protectorate was wealthy because of the oil rivers. The ethnic groups in this region were the economic engine of the colonial project. The Igbo people occupied the heart of the palm oil belt. They produced the majority of the palm oil and kernels that the British exported to Europe for soap and machinery lubricant. The Efik and Ibibio peoples controlled the key coastal trading ports, like Calabar, through which palm oil was shipped. The Itsekari and Yoruba peoples managed the palm oil trade routes in the western Niger Delta. The Yoruba people produced significant amounts of palm oil and cocoa, particularly in the western region, which provided massive customs duties for the British. The British goal: use the tax money from these southern groups to pay for the deficit debts of the Northern Protectorate. 2. The ethnic groups with petroleum oil, the future wealth. While the 1914 amalgamation was technically funded by palm oil, the British colonial surveys, like those by the Mineral Survey of Southern Nigeria, had already identified the potential for mineral wealth in the south. The groups sitting on what would become Nigeria's petroleum belt include: the Ija people occupy the vast majority of the wet, oil-rich lands of the Niger Delta. The Ogoni people, located in the rivers area, sitting on massive oil reserves. The Igbo people, southern groups, particularly in areas like Imo and Abia, which contain significant oil and gas deposits. The Isoko and Edo peoples, also located in the oil-producing belt of the South-South. 3. The ethnic groups in the north, the deficit region. In 1914, the Hausa, Fulani, and Kanuri peoples of the north had a large, organized society, the Sokoto Caliphate and Borno Empire, but they did not have a coastline to collect customs duties. They produced ground nuts, peanuts, and cotton, but the cost of transporting these goods to the sea was higher than the profit they made. Because the North was bankrupt in the eyes of the British Treasury, the British merged them with the South so the Southern palm oil money could build northern roads and railways.
Because of that, the North was bankrupt. There is no one in the North. This is not said today that is doing buga. Nothing. They have nothing. It's only the oil. The money from the oil is what British used to keep sustain them. And today they are the one hiring shoulders. And when British is about to leave, they never lived. They indirect rule. They handed them over the country. This is what they handed them over the country. Today is all this is why they have power. That's where they make money to pay the Fulanis billions of dollars that they use to buy the equipment that they're using to kill all the indigenous people today. All is coming from your Asset Okubo area, Tompolo. Then they're keeping silent. Tag them for me. Let them come and know that it's what they have. Instead of them to be in charge, they are security guideline pipeline men. That's what they are doing for what belongs to you.
Summary table. Who had what in 1914? Region. Major ethnic groups. Key resource. 1914. Financial status. Southeast. Igbo. Efik. Ibibio. Palm oil. High surplus. South-South. Ija. Itsekari. Yoruba. Palm oil. Future petroleum. High surplus. Southwest. Yoruba. Edo. Cocoa. Palm oil. High surplus. North. Hausa. Fulani. Kanuri. Groundnuts. Cotton. Heavy deficit. The bottom line. The British merged the country because the Igbo, Yoruba, Ija, and Efik lands were making a lot of money from palm oil, and the British didn't want to keep using London's money to run the northern territories. The amalgamation was a way to subsidize the North using southern resources.
Now, when you listen, you will know why that people are dying every day. You will see the reason why the so stupid governors and politicians who are supposed to be in charge are the one begging, like Peter Obi, the slave, and his followers, that they don't know the value of what they have. They don't know who they are because of the amalgamation of the British. You can see the link there. In case if you want to join us, you can join via the link on the program. You can join us. Why am I playing without explaining? I want the world to know that we know who we are. That the Biafran people, we will not accept that the only option we needed is what? We have exit Nigeria, the world organized us, and that is how to correct the mistake of the 1914, which is what? Part 3 of this program today. We have done part 1, we have done part 3 of it. British amalgamation of the 1914 is a mistake that is causing genocide today in today Nigeria. So that mistake must be corrected. How? It's like just a foundation that has a problem that cannot carry up to next 2 years. What you need to do, no matter what happens, is to bring the house down, pieces everything and start afresh. For people to genocide to end, Nigeria must be brought down. And we, the Biafran people, on our own has brought it. But why we are calling for America and Israel, for them to know one thing is this. Whenever America and Israel goes, what happens? Others follow. When the Biafran people exit from Nigeria, other ethnic groups will exit. Nigeria is a country of up to 5 countries. That is just truth. And when all these ethnic groups have their country, they will defend their land. They will defend their territory. They will guide their people. Not to the interest of the British that the Nigerian government are buying the people in all this town region, in the Biafra land today. Today the north is bleeding, no checking point. But go down to our territory. There is, because of what? Maintaining the interest of who? The interest of British. That is why you see armor tanker. For them to continue using our mineral resources to enrich their country after how many decades? After how many decades, they are still on their mission. The European Union has come and signed a stupid, useless, and criminal document. We are watching. You think that is 1967, 1970? The answer is no. This 21st century. We want to see if all this your law is not working. We will open it by force, and you must accept it by force. Because we will never be a slave in our own territory, and we will never submit to Islamization, the agenda of the Fulanis, agenda of the British. In the history of the numbers of the Islamic country, British is not there. The British are not there. British is not there, but Nigeria is there. In the history of the Islamic country, the name of the Britain is not there, but Nigeria is there as one of the Islamic countries today, and that is the agenda of they are pushing, because they are pushing based on the number where they belong and where they find themselves. And you think you can hold us down? You can never do that. You can never do that. You doubt it that if Nigeria is not among the Islam country. You see, our people that are claimed Christians will be doubting it. Go to Google, ask Nigeria, is he among the Islam country? Just go and type, and you will see where you belong. That is what they are pushing. That is why British is keeping silent. We want America to know that Nigeria is in the map of in the number of the Islam country. That is what I want. That is number one thing they must know. It's a religional war is what is happening in Nigeria. They want to by force us, like the way they ran by force their people, like the way Turkey by force their people. This pure truth is going on. So the only way the Christians are in this territory we have their own is when this foundation that brought this killing is being destroyed, and they will have their own government that are for the interest of the citizens and to protect them in their territory. These are the things that the world need to check. It is very imperative that you understand it. This message we have until we continue on part 4, because we are going to narrow it down for you to know the areas, the people that has palm oil, crude oil. We have two. We have palm oil, we have crude oil. That is why you see armor tanker in the interest of Great Britain, in the interest of UK, not in any other interest. If anybody join us in the next 10 minutes, the link is already there. If nobody join us, then we will end the program to continue tomorrow. As I am playing it back again, listen and listen good. It's not what they think, it's not how we feel. This is what they hide from us. They want us to know. And the time has come for us to dig down and know it better. If you want to join us through the link, you can. If you want to call on the phone number, you also, because we're about to end the program.
The straight answer is that the southern ethnic groups held the wealth that the British needed to fund the northern administration. While petroleum oil was not being exported yet in 1914, it was discovered later in 1956. The British already knew the region was rich in resources. The primary wealth that drove the amalgamation was palm oil. 1. The ethnic groups with palm oil, the surplus wealth. Before 1914, the British Southern Nigeria Protectorate was wealthy because of the oil rivers. The ethnic groups in this region were the economic engine of the colonial project. The Igbo people occupied the heart of the palm oil belt. They produced the majority of the palm oil and kernels that the British exported to Europe for soap and machinery lubricant. The Efik and Ibibio peoples controlled the key coastal trading ports like Calabar.
it made British to create a country called Nigeria is because of what? Oil. If there is no palm oil, if there is no crude oil, nobody will answer Nigeria. You had it here clearly on this document that the only thing that made British to amalgamate Nigeria as one country is because of 1, palm oil, 2, crude oil that are where? In the Biafra land, in old eastern region. Forget the name South. Does not exist. Because of these two things, that is why people answer Nigeria. If there is not, no country will call Nigeria. If there is not, British will not come down to come and build the Royal Niger Company. They only come down to build the Royal Niger Company because of palm oil and the crude oil in the Biafra land. That is nothing more than that. That is only why people answer Nigeria till today.
Through which palm oil was shipped. The Itsekiri and Yoruba peoples managed the palm oil trade routes in the western Niger Delta. The Yoruba people produced significant amounts of palm oil and cocoa, particularly in the western region, which provided massive customs duties for the British. The British goal: use the tax money from these southern groups to pay for the deficit debts of the Northern Protectorate. 2. The ethnic groups with petroleum oil, the future wealth. While the 1914 amalgamation was technically funded by palm oil, the British colonial surveys, like those by the Mineral Survey of Southern Nigeria, had already identified the potential for mineral wealth in the south. The groups sitting on what would become Nigeria's petroleum belt include: the Ija people, occupy the vast majority of the wet, oil-rich lands of the Niger Delta. The Ogoni people, located in the rivers area, sitting on massive oil reserves. The Igbo people, southern groups, particularly in areas like Imo and Abia, which contain significant oil and gas deposits. The Isoko and Edo peoples, also located in the oil-producing belt of the South-South. 3. The ethnic groups in the north, the deficit region. In 1914, the Hausa, Fulani, and Kanuri peoples of the north had a large, organized society, the Sokoto Caliphate and Borno Empire, but they did not have a coastline to collect customs duties. They produced ground nuts, peanuts, and cotton, but the cost of transporting these goods to the sea was higher than the profit they made. Because the North was bankrupt in the eyes of the British Treasury, the British merged them with the South so the southern palm oil money could build northern roads and railways. Summary table: who had what in 1914? Region: major ethnic groups. Key resource: 1914, financial status. Southeast: Igbo, Efik, Ibibio. Palm oil, high surplus. South-South: Ija, Itsekiri, Yoruba. Palm oil, future petroleum, high surplus. Southwest: Yoruba, Edo, cocoa, palm oil, high surplus. North: Hausa, Fulani, Kanuri. Groundnuts, cotton, heavy deficit. The bottom line: the British merged the country because the Igbo, Yoruba, Ija, and Efik lands were making a lot of money from palm oil, and the British didn't want to keep using London's money to run the northern territories. The amalgamation was a way to subsidize the north using southern resources.
That is why people answer Nigeria today, and those that have these mineral resources, their hand cannot touch it. Southeast Igbo, Efik, Ibibio, palm oil, high supply in a very big way. This South-South, you know, it still remain what? The eastern region entirely. Ijo, Ishekiri, Urobo, palm oil, future crude oil, high quality. Southwest, Yoruba, Edo, cocoa / palm oil in a large quality. North, Hausa, Fulani, Kanuri, nothing to talk about. except being a dry country, a dry area. This is evidence that we are not one people. Even if it is today, you say, look at it, the way it's been kept here. That is not complete. The four that will be mentioned here is we have, how could the British emerge 5 countries in one place? Because of that 2 or 1 has more than the other one. You are envy and jealous and greedy over what we have, over what did not give us. And that is what leading to all this ongoing genocide that we are seeing today. This is why it's happening. These are the things you don't want us to know. But we are here to bring it out. Before I close the program, I will start from the beginning of the program to the end of the 3 sections that we did today, as on this part 3 as we move. We started the program to ask question: if there is no crude oil, and that is research documents, if there is no crude oil, if there is no palm oil and cocoa, can anyone answer Nigeria today as a country that is causing and killing their people, where the highest genocide, human rights abuse of rights of human beings is going on today? If there is no these 3 things I mentioned, can anyone answer Nigeria? Let us find an answer.
The straight answer is no. Without those specific commodities, the amalgamation of 1914 would not have happened. The British did not merge the North and the South for the sake of nation building or shared culture. It was a purely financial and administrative merger designed to solve a British accounting problem. 1. The budget gap reason. Before 1914, the Northern Nigeria Protectorate was a deficit territory. It was landlocked and expensive to govern, and it cost the British Treasury in London a lot of money every year in subsidies, grants and aid. The South was a surplus territory because of the massive customs duties collected on palm oil and cocoa. The British Colonial Office wanted to stop spending British taxpayers' money on the North. By merging the two, they could use the surplus from the South to pay for the deficit in the North. No oil, cocoa, palm oil equals no surplus. Without that money, the British would have had no pot of gold in the South to fund the North. 2. The railway logic. The British were building a massive railway system to evacuate cotton and groundnuts, peanuts, from the North to the sea. Building railways is incredibly expensive. The revenue from palm oil and cocoa trade in the South provided the financial security, collateral, needed to fund this infrastructure. If there were no resources to transport and no money to pay for the tracks, the British would have had no reason to physically or administratively link the two regions. 3. The corporation model. At the time, the British viewed their colonies like a business. Northern Nigeria was a massive territory with a large population but low liquid revenue. Southern Nigeria was a smaller territory with a coastline and high-value exports. Amalgamation was essentially a hostile corporate merger to balance the books. If the southern branch of the company had no profitable products like palm oil or cocoa, the head office in London would never have authorized the merger. What would have happened instead? If those resources did not exist, the British likely would have abandoned the North or left it as a series of loosely protected but independent emirates. The South might have remained a collection of small coastal trading colonies, similar to how Sierra Leone or the Gambia started. The map of West Africa would today consist of several smaller, sovereign nations instead of one large, Nigeria. Summary: the amalgamation was driven by greed and accounting. Without the wealth generated by palm oil and cocoa, and later the prospect of petroleum oil, there was no business case for the British to create Nigeria. The country was unified to make it self-financing for the British Empire, not to benefit the people living there.
Let's listen to this again. Another one.
The straight answer is that the southern ethnic groups held the wealth that the British needed to fund the northern administration. While petroleum oil was not being exported yet in 1914, it was discovered later in 1956, the British already knew the region was rich in resources. The primary wealth that drove the amalgamation was palm oil. 1. The ethnic groups with palm oil, the surplus wealth. Before 1914, the British Southern Nigeria Protectorate was wealthy because of the oil rivers. The ethnic groups in this region were the economic engine of the colonial project. The Igbo people occupied the heart of the palm oil belt. They produced the majority of the palm oil and kernels that the British exported to Europe for soap and machinery lubricant. The Efik and Ibibio peoples controlled the key coastal trading ports, like Calabar, through which palm oil was shipped. The Itsekiri and Yoruba peoples managed the palm oil trade routes in the western Niger Delta. The Yoruba people produced significant amounts of palm oil and cocoa, particularly in the western region, which provided massive customs duties for the British. The British goal: use the tax money from these southern groups to pay for the deficit debts of the Northern Protectorate. 2. The ethnic groups with petroleum oil, the future wealth. While the 1914 amalgamation was technically funded by palm oil, the British colonial surveys, like those by the Mineral Survey of Southern Nigeria, had already identified the potential for mineral wealth in the south. The groups sitting on what would become Nigeria's petroleum belt include: the Ija people occupy the vast majority of the wet, oil-rich lands of the Niger Delta. The Ogoni people, located in the rivers area, sitting on massive oil reserves. The Igbo people, southern groups, particularly in areas like Imo and Abia, which contain significant oil and gas deposits. The Isoko and Edo peoples, also located in the oil-producing belt of the South-South. 3. The ethnic groups in the north, the deficit region. In 1914, the Hausa, Fulani, and Kanuri peoples of the north had a large, organized society, the Sokoto Caliphate and Borno Empire, but they did not have a coastline to collect customs duties. They produced groundnuts, peanuts, and cotton, but the cost of transporting these goods to the sea was higher than the profit they made. Because the North was bankrupt in the eyes of the British Treasury, the British merged them with the South so the southern palm oil money could build northern roads and railways. Summary table: who had what in 1914? Region: major ethnic groups. Key resource: 1914, financial status. Southeast: Igbo, Efik, Ibibio. Palm oil, high surplus. South-South: Ija, Itsekiri, Yoruba. Palm oil, future petroleum, high surplus. Southwest: Yoruba, Edo. Cocoa, palm oil, high surplus. North: Hausa, Fulani, Kanuri. Groundnuts, cotton, heavy deficit. The bottom line: the British merged the country because the Igbo, Yoruba, Ija, and Efik lands were making a lot of money from palm oil, and the British didn't want to keep using London's money to run the northern territories. The amalgamation was a way to subsidize the north using southern resources.
I hope you had it all. Now, I want to see why the Biafran people, the world, to hear us out. And this all has happened up to today, and our people are still dying every blessed day. Our people are being dying every blessed day in this area of the oldest region of the Biafran territory today. Only thing we have witnessed in our entire life is what? Is military equipment, military checking point, and in Benue, and Plateau, Sokoto, Taraba, all these places that genocide is going on today. There is no checking point. There is no military presence there. There is no armor tanker. But in our own territory, everywhere is food with armor tanker being occupied everywhere. That is why we want the world to know that these truths we are hiding away from, so that to correct this mistake, is why people are dying every blessed day. That is the reason why people is dying every blessed day. But we, the Biafran people, we have taken it upon ourselves for us to move on. We have taken it upon ourselves for us to do what? For us to have our own country called United States of Biafra as our own country. Whether you like it or not. It's only Biafra can end this ongoing impunity, this ongoing genocide. Another thing beside this you are just wasting your time. I said what? You are just wasting your time. We want you to know everything that you've been hiding for us, that we can lay our hand on it in this 21st century. We are no longer wasting our time because we already know the problem. And the problem is what United States of Biafra is solving for you through our peaceful declaration. That is the only option in this 21st century. So I want to thank you for being here today. I thank you so much for being here. I also want you to know that everything that we are doing it knowing that we are on the right track to achieve our own country, to make sure that we end this ongoing genocide that people are passing through today. I want to thank you, Chigozie. Thank you for being here from the beginning to the end. I thank you so much. I also thank you, Frank Okoye. I also thank you, Ogonaya. Good evening from here. Thank you so much. Sweet Son Biafra, thank you so much. I thank all of you that are here. Ekwem, I thank you so much. Uchena, my brother, thank you so much. Emmanuel John, thank you so much. Mommy Rose, I thank you. James Njoko, I thank you. All of you that are here, thank you so much for being here today. We move until we come back again. If once our time permits us. I want to tell you in this comment section or here, anytime that you're going to watch this program, please share and like. I know why many people don't watch because of it's not what you think what I'm doing, but I choose the path that program has given me to do to my capacity to make that the world that they understand what we are doing. So endeavor to like and share, subscribe. It's Real Biafra TV. If you watch it later, please like it and share the program. Subscribe on our YouTube page, Real Biafra TV. What we do here is to bring all those hidden documents, what the so-called UK right now did to us in the past, and why the mistake of the amalgamation is why people are being killed. The ongoing genocide is because of the name called Nigeria by British. Because of what? You had it here today. Because of their own interests. Because of they want to continue maintaining the North. So the North will be the one that will allow them to be taking the oil in our land. Rather than that, no other interest. So please endeavor to like and share the program. We have gone almost 3 hours. So we're going to end it here until we come back again. Watch out. Thank you so much. We move.